Okay, I've made a lot of changes to the EA. I've made it smarter. I've made it a lot faster, so you should not see any more slowdown with doing the back testing. And I've created 3 different versions of the EA. One specifically for DNA trading, so I removed everything not relevant to DNA. One specifically for macro trading, where I removed everything not related to macro. And one full EA that has all the options, including everything that I use. So I'm going to go through, let's look at some of the DNA settings that I've left in. So you see here the only settings that are left are settings specifically relevant to DNA trading. And that's what we have here. The default settings. Now just remember, if you already have your buy stop loss or your sell stop loss line drawn, it will dynamically choose the initial lots based on the risk that you have set. So let's jump in and see how it works. Okay, I'll just jump in here and get a quick buy. So you'll see it did as expected. It made the buy time and take profit. Everything is set up for us already. Let's see how this goes. And we're out. And that is a normal trade for DNA trading. So now let's use the macro trading. See what options we have here. Essentially it's the same options, besides I brought back the running stop loss. So now if you ever hit your buy timing or your sell timing take profit line, instead of setting your stop loss to break even, it's going to set your stop loss to the current price minus whatever the running stop loss is set to here. And now for the most important part of macro trading, what makes it macro trading is the Fibonacci lines. If you set this to 1, that tells the EA to take Fibonacci into account when it's doing these stop loss values. So here, what this is asking is, how many pips of profit do you want? And for me to set the stop loss to the 61.8% Fibonacci line. This one says, how many pips of profit do you want before I set it to 50%? This one for 38%, and so on and so forth. This one is also a very important value. So this says, how many candles should I look back while I'm looking to draw my fib line? So you see here, if we set this to 0, and we look at this other trade, if we set this to 0, it'll draw the fib line starting from here. So the fib line will go from here to the top, and that's not the true fib line, because we want the fib line to include this. So as long as you have your look back for fibs, 1, 2, 3, looks like 8 candles back, as long as this is 8, then it will have captured this, and it will have drawn your line, your fib line from there to there. So it's important to put this at a high value, maybe not too high, because you don't want to capture anything way back there, but you want to set it at a reasonable value in order to capture the right Fibonacci line. So let's do another sample trade, see how this one works. Okay, now again, I'll get in on a buy. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, now we're at the point where it's setting your buy stop loss to whatever percentage corresponds to the setting. So if we look here and we do a Fibonacci line, we'll see that the buy stop loss is at the 50, this as it is there, so it's correct. Let's get rid of this. And let's watch it as it goes. perfect, and we're out. So now let's see how a sell would do. And let's just get this line out of the way. Here we go, 61.8. So let's test that. There, right at 61.8. Still following it down. 38.2. Let's give another spot check. Yep, 38.2. And we're out of the trade. So that's how the macro trading works. Now let's take a look at the full. What is different here? Well, we have all the settings that I've ever used. Anything I've ever created is in this. And is there anything extra? Actually, this is missing some stuff. This is missing some stuff. So I'm going to have to change that name. Let's go back to the long version of the file before I renamed it. Here it is. This should be it. No, still not it? What about this one? There we go. This is what I was looking for. So I'll make sure to rename that file and re-upload that zip. So here we just have all of the settings that I've used: time and mode, grid trading, trade enter band. This is something new that I made. So what this will do is, if you draw a line, it will not execute that line for a sell stop, a buy stop, whatever that is, unless price is currently touching an outer band. I found that useful in some situations, not all situations. What else have I added here? Oh yes, close break even when grid trades. So if I'm grid trading and my grid has created 3 open trades, and I'm afraid when it gets to 3 open trades, that's a lot. So if that ever happens, I want the sell stop or the stop loss to always be at break even once I have 3 or more trades going. I can very easily do that by setting this to 3. If I want that to 2, I can set that to 2. So let's say I have 4 trades open in my grid and it starts retracing against me, it'll just exit the trade at break even automatically. Don't have to worry about that. So if I set this one, grid risk break even, let's say I set this to false, what that'll do is, instead of going to break even when this gets to 3, it will take into account my risk factor. So if I set my risk to $500, instead of setting my stop loss to break even, if I have 3 open trades, it will set it to the negative 500. Just gives you a little more breathing room in case a big retracement comes. What else do we have here? Yeah, that should be it. Those are the only things I've added. So if there are any questions, let me know.